Good day, good night, whenever you're watching this. Thanks, Johnny, for having me featured in your show. And here I will tell the tale that I have written for the Waffle House lore. Enjoy. In another world where there is no pain, no agony, and no despair, there was born a man named Pinor. He was a man of great might and power, and he was not matched by the common folk who lived in the lands of Elsar. He was a sort of god, which the people saw with great wrath and fear. Pioneer walked around the wooden towns that were once on the great plains of Narlington and the rocky mountains of Barknor. He walked around there and he became a popular man who had the power to give everyone whatever they wanted. But soon, as with everything in life, there was a problem. From the sky a void was opened, and from this void, the void of all life and happiness, sprung out the wrongest, evilest warriors from the overworld, and they were led by a man named Bethundu. To many of the common people, he was seen as a dark cloud who wandered around their towns, brought diseases and death to the weakest of all. Lord Pioneer already began establishing himself a fortress which he appropriately named the House of Wafflingas, where he, his wife Osorit, and his son Waffle lived, and where the people of great authority ate this type of bread rings with maple leaf syrup called waffles, in the name of Lord Pioneer, of course. This was established as the greatest stronghold of power to have ever existed. When the Bethundians arrived at the doorstep of the house of Wafflingas, Lord Pioneer stood in the front wall and saw the Dark Lord in his true form, a cataclysmic soul of nothingness, which held in his head a white mask with two unplaced, blacker than black eyes, and two reddish horns that vibrated in an unbearable sound. Bethundus first spoke to the Lord of Wafflingas. So we meet at first hand, Lord of the Street Rabble, said Bethundu. Finally, I get to see this god forbidden place. It wouldn't surprise me if the people of yours are still eating those rings they call a good food. I wouldn't be surprised at all if your wife might be cheating in you at this very moment. Lord Pinar, your name is kept in popularity, but when you die, you shall be banished from history, and the So Waffle House will be shut down. How old is me, Lord of Darkness? Answered Piner. I am a man of great might and power, which is matched by the common folk and might not be even by you, soul of the damned. How will you and your moronic men shut down my house of waffles when my presence is still present? That is impossible, and it shall be as that forever and ever. You don't have the slightest idea of how I will manage that. Not even I can fit those ideas in my head. In fact, they are so big that they are now escaping my mind and are happening right now. Then suddenly a massive storm came from the sky. Acidic and painful raindrops fell into the Waffle House, and then a giant earthquake, mightier than the power of both Bethundu and Piner combined, came out of the ground and shook the entire building of the Waffle House. But everyone held their ground. The Waffle House was indestructible, and lights shone across the building saying that it was open. This continued for centuries until Bethundu realized that his work was to no avail, and he then spoke with Piner. Your stronghold of bread rings is truly strong, worthy of the power of the gods. But beware, because I will return. With a power so strong, you will die before you get to see it, Rabble Lord. Farewell. And Mithundu vanished into thin air, and his army began to retreat. Something I did not mention, however, Pioneer had a brother, whom he named Argus, because he thought it was a good name for his younger brother, and Tom liked it. Argus was now a grown up, and he had held his ground against the might of Bethundu for all those years, and it was time he was set a quest. The world is changing, brother. I feel that the dark spirits of all trickery and black sorcery slowly come back to this earth. It must be stopped, said Pioneer. How can that be? Said Argus. The Dark Lord comes from the very foundations of the void, therefore he cannot be destroyed. With magic it can be learned, though no trickery is known in this land, answered Pioneer. But we're gods, mightier than anybody else. Surely we can defeat the Dark Lord in a single strike, can we not? It has been millennia since the Dark Lord has arrived to this very stronghold of Waffles, and it has stood throughout tornadoes and earthquakes. If the Waffle House is ever shut down, so will the entire earth, and the spirit of Bethundu will rise to power, and then all hope shall be lost. So where can one learn magic? To my knowledge, we're the only town for miles on end, and it's not known if any people at all live in the outskirts of the swamp that this fortress is placed at. There is someone out there. His name I did not remember, but he is found upon the ridge of the mountains that lies over on the east of this country. He will welcome you as he knows your quest and knows your purpose of life. I will believe you, brother, and I will sit to meet this mage you speak of, and learn his magic, to then together defeat the Dark Lord, as he set out the next morning. So Argus found himself in the many corn and rice fields that covered the landscape, and were irrigated by the water that came down from the mountains. The moon reflected on the water, but suddenly he was taken away by something he did not expect. He saw upon the distance a castle that was burning down. At first, he thought that was an act of the HBSO, the Hidden Bethundu Supporters Organization, which was a dark hidden guild that existed in all the realms of Elzar, which brought down the holy castles and holy places to ruin. He was angered by this, as he didn't like how the HBSO did damage to the people, and how they riddled by the darkness of Bethundu. Argus got near the castle, and he saw the men of the organization throwing rocks into the wooden castle, kicking the people and slaying them with their filthy swords. He remained hidden for that time until a way to strike them came through his mind. He stayed behind the rock for over 30 minutes, and in the distance he saw that the gates were being opened. He knew that this was the time to strike the organization. He grabbed his sword and lifted his back there to be swifter in fight. Argus came by the door, and upon it there was a shadowy man, which held his sword in his left hand.
Who are you over there, lurking in the shadows with sword in hand?
Asked the man upon the castle's door. I bring death to the men of the hidden Bethune Supporters Organization. Challenge me or thou shalt die in battle. The man at the door laughed loudly and continued with his speech.
What are you? What do you think you are, a warrior? Yet you are nothing more than a dog looking for battle around the lands of Yoria. When the gates of the edge of the world open, evil shall come upon all the people of the earth, and no one shall be saved from the horrible wrath that bringeth to Bethundu, our lord.
It shall be all good, for Bethundu is perished. The siege of the Waffle House is ended, and all his true supporters are dead, and all evil shall be over until thy prophecy shall be unerring. Yet I repeat myself, Lord of the HBSO, challenge me, or thou shalt die in battle. The man at the door laughed loudly again.
You dare challenge me and the ideas of the great hidden Bethune the Supporters Organization. That shall be not forgotten.
The man grabbed his sword in a hard manner and readied himself for combat. Argus came forward and walked like it was nothing big to be worried about. As he came closer and closer, the man saw that suddenly Argus disappeared. But when he noticed, it was too late, as he turned back to the burned castle, and there was Argus. Believe not the teachings of the demon, for they bring ill to the freeman, said Argus, and he took his sword and slew the man, stabbing him in the belly. The man fell, and he said his final words.
When you least expect, the children of darkness shall rise to power.
And the man spoke no more. Argus ran to search the houses. He had to look for people because the houses were burning down, and if there was anyone there, he didn't want to risk them dying. He ran there and found a woman lying in the ground crying and trying to protect herself from the terrible fire. The woman saw Argus and screamed for help. Please help me, she repeated, and he took her to the entrance of the castle. You shall be free, lady, said Argus. Thank you, Lord Argus, said the woman. Please take this ring as a reward for your deeds. Thank you, lady. You might find refuge in Alpharetta or Newnan, though it's farther away. But my lord, you're an adventurer, are you not? Said the woman. You never go this far in Georgia, at least in the last years. I suppose you're going to an adventure, so may I go with you, my lord? I will love to, my fair lady, said Argus. But under the laws of this country, women are not allowed to slay people, so I will not let thee accompany me. For shame, my lord, but thank you, for you have saved my life from those horrible raiders. You have my respect and my lord, and farewell in thy adventures. Thank you, lady, said Argus. But I have a question. What do you know about these horrible raiders? The Hidden Bethune Supporters Organization. What do you know about them? They have come from the Green and White Mountains crossing from the land of Ohio. So I have heard that they have tried to battle against the people of Elthor in a mysterious desert, but they have failed and have instead raided us, the people of Georgia. That is indeed horrible, but when I return, the future shall be good and perfect, and that horrible organization shall be gone for good. May that be true, my lord. Anyways, farewell in thy travels, and may God bring hope to all of us. So be it, my fair lady. Farewell. Argus left the burning castle, along with a lady that he did not knew the name of. The lady turned and left, to not be seen again by Argus, and vanished into the darkness that was to the north. Argus went walking down the stone stairs that led to the gate of the castle. He went off and saw that Linus, his horse, was still waiting for him. Argus took a deep breath and walked up to his steed and spoke to him. You can take your leave to your home, Linus, for this adventure will be a long one. Go back to Newton, where you belong, and you will live in a good life in the Lord's stable while I am away. I promise you I will return. And Linus the horse bowed his head down to Argus and turned to where his origin was. The steed began to run to his home and hearkened the word of his master. Go, be free of evil and darkness. Be as fast as lightning and as strong as a giant. Be free. And Argus walked off, looking at the eastern moon that rose from the ground and hiding itself in the great storm, to be not seen again for the night. He saw that the ring was a well-made golden ring with a ruby gemstone upon it. He read the text that was on the rim, and it said in an old language, a Stunner Hyant, Mage, and Ring Maker. He put the ring on his finger and wondered who this Stunner Hyant might be. The name seemed familiar, but he didn't know the origin from where it was. As he continued his adventure through the land, he eventually found himself on the side of the mountain. Argus was tired, and he needed to rest upon its side, and he did. He began sleeping as he laid upon the stone bed, but suddenly there began to be heard footsteps, clean footsteps, which stood in the ground with care, and not strongly. Argus suddenly woke up a bit, and he saw a robed man with a wooden orb in his hand. The robed man looked at Argus in the face, and he was startled. The man extended his arm, and blue particles emerged from the wooden orb, and Argus suddenly fell asleep. Next thing he saw, Argus was in a bed inside a house in the mountainside, and the robed man was sat in a chair in front of a fireplace. Argus was understandably confused, and he stood up suddenly. You are a good man, Argus, but I never thought you will come with me for my aid. Who, who are you? Why am I here? I am a stunner Hyant, Argus. I am the one who made the ring you have right now in your right hand. You are here because you're going to learn. So you're the one my brother was talking about. You indeed live in the mountains. I thought he was joking. Yes, yes. I've been living here for ages. I have no idea from when, but sometimes I receive a casual visitor. An often tea or something stronger. Speaking of which, would you like a tea? Oh, yes, please, said Argus. Aston Hine summoned a cup of tea and a waffle, just in case. So tell me, why do you want to learn magic? Asked Aston Hine, confused. I have been tasked by my brother Piner to go and destroy the Dark Lord who siege your castle, but we stood our ground. My brother, who is wise and powerful, has prophesied that if Waffle House fails, so will Earth. And that is the case, young Master Argus. If the men of Bethune return to this world and they reach your castle undefended, then we will all perish, and Bethune will rule us all. What must I do? Asked Argus. You can take it the hard way. Learn all the spells of the magic that my master wrote all those years ago. Or you can take this piece of advice from me. Not everything they tell you is true. Bear that in mind. Also, take this orb because you will need it. Well, I will do what I can, Master Stoner, said Argus, and made those demons of darkness fall back from where they belong. And then he leaves his house and manages to get to Bethune, the stronghold, and defeats them, and the world becomes better. I don't know. Yeah, that's my story.